Today we'll be working on 5-2A. This is not a new lesson, it's just a review of how to factor if you have a trinomial or if you have a binomial. We're going to review that. It's something that we took in the first semester, but in order to go into solving rational functions, you have to be very good at this lesson. So let's review. Now, if you have a trinomial, it means it's made up of three terms, 6x squared minus 5x minus 6. As you can see, these are three terms. Now, you have two methods to be doing that. You can either use this method, which is called the grouping method, or you can use the big X method. So I'm going to use both methods now with you. Now, before you do anything in those two methods, you always have to find a number that would multiply to give you AC, which is 6 times negative 6. So find a number that would multiply to give you those two. So AC in this case is a negative 36. And would add to give you the middle term, which is negative 5. So two numbers that would multiply to give you negative 36, and would add to give you the middle term, which is 5, or negative 5, the B number in the middle. Now, negative 9 and 4 would be those two numbers. Remember my regular class, you can use the calculator. You can go to y equals negative 36 over x. Go to second table, and then you will find all of those factors that would multiply to give you negative 36, and you try to choose those two numbers that would add to give you negative 5. So negative 9 and 4 are those two numbers. So what you need to do is you copy this, you copy the first term, and you copy the last term. And this one in the middle, you try to divide it into negative 9x and 4x. So negative 9x and 4x. Now again, this is the grouping method. Now the grouping method says that you need to combine those two together and those two together. So let's look at 6x squared and 9x. What's in common between them? Both of them have an x, so x is in common. And both of them are divisible by 3, so 3 is in common. Now ask yourself, 6 divided by 3 would give you a 2. And you've taken an x out of this x squared, so only one x remains. Again, 9 divided by 3 is a 3. And since you're taking this whole x out, so 3 would be the only one that's left. Now to check your answer, go ahead and FOIL. So 3x times 2x is 6x squared. 3x times negative 3 is negative 9x. So you just took the greatest common divisor, or the GCD, you took the GCD out, or the GCF. Now, let's look at the second one. For x minus 6, as you can see, only 2 is in common. So if you take 2 out, you will get 2x, since 4 divided by 2 is 2, and minus 3, since 6 divided by 2 is a 3, and you can always FOIL to check your answer. As you can see, those are in common, so I'm going to write it down. And those two go in together as 3x plus 2. Now, so that is the grouping method to do factoring. Now let's move on this side over here. I'm going to try to do the same one, but I'm going to do it as big X. Again, you have to find two numbers that would multiply to give you 6 times negative 6, which is a negative 36, and would add to give you the middle term, which is a negative 5, and we've thought of that, it's negative 9 and plus 4. Now you write the negative 9 and 4 down there, and you try to divide both of them by a. So remember to divide by a, which is a 6. After you divide by a, you try to simplify those two fractions. So 9 divided by 6 would simplify to give you 3 over 2. 4 over 6 would simplify to give you 2 over 3. So you put an x in front of both of them. Remember that? And remember the last method, what is that? You try to do bottoms up. So 2x minus 3 and 3x plus 2. As you can see, whether it is grouping method or big X method, is going to give you the same way. So as you can see, we factored this to give you this, whether in the grouping method or the big X method. Now to check if your answer makes sense, you can go to y equals and enter this in y1, and you enter this in y2. Now you can do this as a thick line and this one as a thin line, and you graph it. If they overlap, then your work is right. Now let's move on to the other one, which is 4x squared plus 4x minus 15. Now would be a good time for you to pause the video, try it on your own in any method that you like. Now we're going to do this one together. So let's make this bigger and move it to the sides. Okay. I'm going to use both methods again. So multiply something that would give you, so multiply a and c. So think of two numbers when you multiply would give you negative 60, since 4 times negative 15 is a negative 60, and add to give you a 4. Now I think it's 10 and negative 6. If you multiply them, you get negative 60, and if you add them, you get 4. So you copy the first term and you copy the last term, and this middle term 4x you divide it into 10x and negative 6x. So 10x and negative 6x. Now combine those two and those two together. Now 4x squared and 10x, I think there's a 2x in common. 4 divided by 2 is a 2, and x will be left. 10 divided by 2 is a 5. Now try to FOIL it to make sure that your work is right. Now negative 6x and negative 15. Negative 3 is only in common, so you have 2x, plus 3. Now try to FOIL it to check your work. So 4x squared plus 10, that's right. Negative 6x, and this is not right. So let's fix this. What should it be? 15 divided by negative 3 is a 5. Now why did I write 3? Okay, so negative 3 times 5 is a negative 15. There you go. Now as you can see, there's a common between them, which is the 2x plus 5. And then you just copy this one together in another parentheses, and that would be it. Now to check your answer again, put this in y1, put this in y2, graph it. If you see one graph, then that is right because they overlap. If you see two graphs, it means your factoring is wrong. Now I'm going to do the second method under this. Again, multiply to give you negative 60, which is the AC, and add to give you 4. Now the two numbers are negative 10 and negative 6, because you need them to add to give you 4. After you find those two numbers, remember to divide by a, which is a 4 in this case. There you go. The a is a 4. Simplify the fractions if you can. So 10 divided by 4 simplify into 5 over 2. And 6 and 4 divide into 3 and 2. Write them down and put an x in front of them. Now this one, it's a plus, so that's why it's x plus 5 over 2. This is a negative, so it's x minus 3 over 2. Now remember, bottoms up. So then the final answer would be 2x plus 5 into 2x minus 3, and that's exactly the same one. Now this is how you factor, whether by grouping or big X, a trinomial. Now whether it's a perfect trinomial or just any other trinomial, it's the same way. Now let's move on to difference of two squares. Now the reason why it's called difference of two squares is because you have a minus, so difference means minus. 2, it means two terms, and squares means both of them are perfect squares. So let's see. Again, all the work is done over here, but I'm going to do it anyway on the side. Now, if you try to take the square root of 16, square root of 16 is a 4. So I'm going to write 4 on the inside, and the square root of x squared would be just x. And you put a square on the outside. Now let's check. 4 squared is 16, and x squared is x squared. So let's try the other one. Give the minus on the outside, and square root of 25 is a 5. And I'm going to put, I think I copied this wrong, it should be a 4 over here. So then you would put a 2 on the outside and a 2 on the inside. So let's see, 5 to the power 2 is 25, and y squared to the power 2. Remember, if it's a power to a power, you multiply them, and that's how you get the 4. So this will be a y squared. Now, if you can write them this way, and then the final answer would be the first minus the second, so 4x minus 5y squared. So you take whatever is inside the parentheses, and then the second parentheses you put the first plus the second. So that would be it. Again, if you want to check your work, you put this in y1, and you put this in y2, and if you get only one graph, then your work is right. Now this is how you do difference of two squares. Now would be a good time to pause the video and try to do the other one on your own. I'm going to try to take the time and do this next one on your own. Let me make some space for me. Okay, so 49x squared minus 4. Now, can I write this as a difference of two squares? Let's see. Square root of 49 is a 7, and x squared can write an x on the inside. So 7 squared is a 49, and x squared is x squared. Minus, can you write 4 as a square of something? Yes, it's a square of 2, and 2 squared is a 4. There you go. This is a difference of two squares. Now, again, how do you write this? You write the first minus the second, so 7x minus 2, and then the first plus the second. Again, check your work on the calculator. So that would be it. Another way to check your work is you can FOIL it. And if you do, let's try it. So 49x squared plus 14x, and then negative 2, you FOIL it, you get negative 14x minus 4. The middle terms cancel out. So this is another way to check. And there you go, you got 49x squared minus 4. This is another way to check if you don't have a calculator. So I hope this is a good review. Make sure that you understand this very well. Tomorrow in class we'll do nothing but review these two concepts, more practice, to get into solving rational functions. So make sure that you come to class prepared. See you tomorrow.